Whenever.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann, and I show people how they can live healthy, happy, sustainable lives by changing their habits and using cutting edge products to help them age well. And I'm really delighted because today I'm joined by Alice Shikina. Alice has talked to us before, but today she's going to be talking about deeper communication habits, which can be used for business or personal life. It's all good. So I'm going to hand straight over to you, Alice.
Thank you, Julie. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here, and I am here bringing you all this information from Oakland, California. So I work as a mediator and a negotiation coach. And one of the things that I'm very, very passionate about is helping people become better communicators and better negotiators. And all of that has to do with communication and communication skills. And so today I'm going to talk about a few of my favorite habits that I have that, really help you have better communication with each other. So the one that I want to talk about the most in depth is deeper questioning. And, the idea of ask questions, people feel like, I know how to ask a question. Right. And so a lot of times people feel like, okay, well, I know how to do that. There are other people who might feel like, okay, I know how to ask questions, but like, what kind of questions do you actually mean for me to ask? And so I'm here to talk about those kinds of questions, right? People, when they say, well, what am I supposed to be asking? And so usually as a mediator, my job is to ask a lot of questions because interestingly enough, when people are in a fight, they focus on the things that they want and they focus on their side of the argument. And so in doing that, what you tend not to do is you tend not to be curious about why the other side wants what they want and what is actually going on. And what people actually do is they assume that they know why the other side wants what they want, right? Or they just feel like, oh, they're a bully, they're opposing me and whatnot. So a lot of times what I deal with are people who are divorcing and they're fighting about custody with the children, how much time they want with the kids, what time the kids should be coming home. So, a very typical conversation might go something like, I want you to return the kids to me Friday evening. And someone else might say, no, I want them, to be returned Saturday morning. And then here we go. We're off to the races and running in terms of the conflict, right? And no one ever bothers to say, why is Friday evening important for you? Or what about Saturday is significant, right? Or is there a reason why you want Friday versus Saturday? Or why would you want Saturday versus Friday? No one ever asks those questions, ever. I've never heard those questions asked. I am the only person asking those questions. And so people just think, well, you just want what you want. And the reason why I don't want it is because it's not what I want, right? That's sort of the mindset that people are moving forward in communication. And so then now you are dealing with a conflict. When in fact, if you ask deeper questions to find out what is going on with the other side, you will find answers that you did not know before. And those answers will help inform you of what the real resolution should look like. Right. So I had an example where a couple were not quite divorcing. They were almost maybe going to divorce, but they still wanted to have some communication about a few difficult topics. And the wife came in and said, if we can't resolve this issue today in mediation, I'm going to ask for a divorce. And this was stated very clearly in front of her husband, right? So we went into a 2-hour mediation and she continued to evade a resolution, and she made the stakes really high, and she made her demand very far away from what he was wanting to do. So he kept on moving closer and closer towards her, but she made no effort to move closer towards him in terms of a resolution. And so towards the end of that, I noticed that something was happening, that there is someone who is saying, I want a divorce if we don't settle. And that someone was also the one preventing it from settling. And so my My deeper question that I asked was this. I said, I noticed that you came in, you made an announcement that you wanted a divorce if you don't settle this, and now you're the one preventing it from settling. My question is this. If your husband gave you 100% of what you asked for today, absolutely everything without a doubt, and I said, I'm not suggesting that he does that, but if he did, would you be happy? And there was a very long silence. And you could tell it was really the first time she may have actually even considered this kind of a question. And since they were going to see a therapist or a marriage counselor for a while, and then they had steps, my presumption was the question that therapist had been asking was, do you want to work on your marriage? And her answer had always been yes. But when I asked, if you got everything you wanted, would you be happy? She had to think about it for quite some time. It was a very long silence. And finally, she said it would relieve some of the pressure. At which point the husband felt like he got the answer that he needed. And he said, okay, thank you very much for that. I'm going to go ahead and call a lawyer. Right? Because no one had gotten to that point. Even the woman herself had not gotten to that point of understanding because the right questions weren't being asked. Yes, she wanted to work on the marriage. Yes, she wanted to put all this effort, but she never realized that doing all of that would never make her happy, that she would continually be unhappy, right? And he always thought that if they fixed everything, she would be happy. So you want to be able to ask a lot of questions about like, why do you want what it is you want? Or you might even ask questions such as, you know, if Julie, you and I were having a disagreement and I wanted something, I might say something to you like this. Julie, what has to be true in order for you to agree with me? And then you can give me some instances to say, in order to agree, we have to make sure this is in place. We have to make sure that is in place. And you can talk about those things. And then we can move to agreement. As opposed to you saying you want the thing your way and I want my thing my way. I'm going to ask questions to determine A, why you want what you want, and B, how can we get to a resolution? Like what has to be true? It's a very, very good question to ask. What has to be true in order for us to agree? What has to be true? Like if your teenage child is asking to go to a party, and you're saying, no, I don't want you to go, you're probably not necessarily expressing all the reasons. You're just saying, no, you can't go. And you have reasons. You're not expressing them. And so it's always a good thing as the teenager to ask the parent, what has to be true in order for you to allow me to go to this party? Now, as the parent, I might say something like, well, you'd have to come back by midnight. I would have to drive you there. I would have to drive you back. And I'd want to make sure that, you know, you're not drinking or taking drugs, right? I can set up the parameters. And now we have a conversation. It's not just them saying, I want to go and me saying no. It is now a problem-solving conversation. So what you want to do with all the conflicts is you want to pull out your bag of questions, and then you want to change that conflict into a problem-solving session. And the only way to change it to a problem-solving session is by asking questions, right? Asking deeper questions, find out like, you know, is there any way we can split the difference if we're doing a time thing? I recently had a mediation between two parents who were fighting over custody, and they could not agree. Like there was a 30-minute window they couldn't agree to. One of them said, bring my kids back at 6:30, and the other one said, I want to bring them back at 7. No one asked why those numbers were important, and they were stuck. They were stuck on that, and they couldn't even split it at 30 minutes, right? They couldn't split that 30 minutes at 15 minutes each. They just stopped. Both of them stopped negotiating. So I brought them to separate rooms, and I started asking questions. What's going on? You know, why are you stopped here? And the father said, I'm stopped here because I feel like she's going to move the goalpost. And if I say yes to the next 30 minutes, she's going to move the goalpost again. And I'm constantly chasing the goal. And so he said, that's the reason why I'm not moving. Okay, great. So then I said to him, you do want to reach an agreement, yes? And he said, yes, I want a custody agreement. I said, okay, let's focus on that goal and let's make it super easy for her to say yes. Let's just say yes to 6:30. And he said, okay, I'll say that, but I don't believe she's going to say yes. I believe she's going to change her mind. I said, okay, I'll challenge you and let's do it. So we went back in and he said, okay to 6:30. And she said, great, we have an agreement. And it was resolved, right? And it's resolved because the fears that people have, the concerns that they have, they do not put it on a silver platter and show you. It's hidden. It's always hidden. It's like you're playing a card game. So the communication is always sort of a game, and there are cards that people are hiding. And it's your job to try to figure out like what cards they're holding, right? What are the fears? What are the concerns? What are those things? And the more you can find out about the cards that they're hiding from you, the higher likelihood you have to be able to resolve the conflict, because you are digging and investigating and problem solving. You want to be able to problem solve together. And so what you want to do is you want to take the problem and put it on one side, and you want to put the people on the other side, right? And so the two people should not be like opposing each other. They should be working as a team, and the issue or the problem should be on the other side. And you're able to do that when you ask deeper questions, when you say like, you know, why are you opposed to this? Or what are you concerned about? Or what are some of the fears? What do you think is going to happen if we do it this way? And when you ask those kind of questions, you're able to get to, you know, a resolution.
Wow, that's completely brilliant. I love that. I guess ultimately, people are looking for, they might not get a win-win, but something as close to a win-win, as in each person has been heard, they've been understood. It may be that for one of them, it's not quite the agreement they want, but actually they are in a different place from where they were when they started the negotiation. That's completely
Yes.
brilliant. So
Yeah,
powerful. And it sounds like you save people a lot of money, Alice.
I do.
And who doesn't want that? That's so fantastic. That's so
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you so much. So for those of you watching, thank you. If you want to find out more about Alice, I'm going to put all her links below this video, so do check her out and find out what else she does. Alice, thank you so much for talking to us. That was absolute gold. And thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you so much.